Hey guys, this is Jitesh here in discussion with founders of crypto project OriginTrail, a startup that solves some pressing issues in the supply chain. Žiga and Tomaz, welcome.
Thank you for inviting. It's a pleasure to be here and to talk about OriginTrail and shed more light on it for your community.
Yeah. Just to start with the interview, we'll start with the basic things. Just give us a brief about your project OriginTrail and what inspired you to start this project.
Yeah, sure. Well, OriginTrail already started some 10 years ago when myself, Tomaz, and the other co-founder started in unveiling problems in supply chains. And back then, the project itself did not entail blockchain because 10 years ago, everything was very much in the beginnings. And we essentially developed a very rudimentary project to help consumers understand provenance and transparency and trust, establish trust in food supply chains. And over a few years in 2013, when we actually launched the product and offered it to many food manufacturers, we kind of improved the way it worked. And that, back then still wasn't a project that would entail a blockchain or, have anything to do with crypto. But our main motivation was to improve transparency and trust in global supply chains. In 2016-17, we started experimenting using Ethereum for all of our clients. And we figured out that blockchains and supply chains are not immediately reconcilable due to many reasons. One of them being cost. You see, costs skyrocketing each time DeFi becomes popular, each time meme coins become popular, etc. And in the real world, and real world is very important still, we need to make sure that the blockchain technology is affordable for companies, for users. And this is when, in 2017, we launched a white paper introducing OriginTrail as an open source middleware that sits on top of blockchains, but it's not blockchain itself. And it essentially ameliorates certain problems that blockchain do not, namely scalability of data exchanges. OriginTrail decentralized network that has been live since 2018 also introduces certain database features that are not used in blockchains. More specifically, we are using decentralized knowledge graph. So OriginTrail, which sits on top of several blockchains like Ethereum, XDAI. Right now, we're progressing towards Polkadot, also some other blockchains. The OriginTrail network essentially supports decentralized knowledge graph. And OriginTrail network right now consists of 900 nodes globally. It's a permissionless network, so anybody can run a node and also earn trace in exchange for maintaining data within the OriginTrail decentralized network. Now, when you run a node in a decentralized OriginTrail decentralized network, you're essentially supporting many international companies that are using OriginTrail for several purposes. Some of them are pertinent to supply chains, and others are, of some other natures. And some of the clients and companies that are using OriginTrail currently include the British Standards Institution, and they have developed several solutions for bigger companies such as Walmart, JCPenney, Home Depot, and for example, biggest US retailers that I just mentioned and dozens of others are using OriginTrail as a backbone to exchange auditing reports on some 20,000 factories. I think it's 21,000 factories, mainly from Asia. And that essentially covers 40% of the imports to the United States. So you can imagine that the potential here already with this one solution running on OriginTrail is really immense. And those participating in our network, so the node holders, our community, can use the permissionless network to support all those companies, even individuals who are using OriginTrail for several enterprise purposes, business purposes. We're also active in India, actually, through one of our projects in pharmaceuticals, where we help international organizations check whether or not medicines are fake, and also prevent medicines to be, kind of driven astray from the markets where they're supposed to be. So we say that with that, we prevent diversion of medicine. So this particular supply chain is also touching India and some other countries also using this solution. So what we see currently is that OriginTrail, which has started 10 years ago, is progressing very nicely and is being used by the biggest organizations in the world. And at the same time, we see that OriginTrail decentralized knowledge graph can be used for several other purposes, even for DeFi projects. Now, DeFi is a very, very interesting notion, especially because people who are more native to crypto, we call them the gens, are very savvy of how DeFi might kind of change the world, etc. What our proposition here is that OriginTrail decentralized network can also be used to introduce the physical world into DeFi. So explain what is going on with physical products that you and me are using, and then use those products, physical products, as a collateral in a DeFi space. And this is something that OriginTrail we identified can be used to drive and to essentially advance the DeFi in the future. It can also be used for metaverse projects. It can be used to expand discoverability of NFTs. It can be used to expand also the longevity of the data, so the underlying assets of the NFTs, and several other projects. So it's an ongoing progress that we see coming from supply chains and all the way to more fancy stuff in DeFi and metaverse.
That's really interesting. Firstly, I'm excited to know that you're working with pharma guys in India. And secondly, it's not only restricted to supply chain, your project, but it has multiple use cases like you just talked about, disrupting DeFi or NFTs. So basically, as the name suggests, OriginTrail. So right from the origination till the consumption, you track everything and ensure the authenticity of the whole process. That's really amazing to know. Yeah. So moving towards my next question. So I thought it is just focusing on supply chain. So based on that, the supply chain management as a market, the industry altogether is around $20 billion, and the whole supply chain market is north of trillions of dollars. So the industry altogether is growing at double-digit CAGR. So do you expect the same kind of growth with OriginTrail or higher?
The world of supply chains is immense. Like you said, the GDP generated by supply chain amounts to 75 trillion US dollars per year. So it's like a huge beast. And as such, supply chains are very vast, and managing supply chains entails a lot of aspects. So it's not just traceability, it's not just perhaps handling physical products. It is also handling all the information, all the data that supports movements of products, movement of services, movement of people. And as such, we have identified several areas in which OriginTrail is currently growing. And some of them are very close to very typical supply chain projects like traceability. For example, we work also with Swiss Federal Railways for the entire federation, Swiss Federation. We are essentially tracking all the rail parts being put into their railway system. So it's a huge thing, but it's not just traceability. For example, with the BSI, we're also helping them ensure that the attestations they give to companies, to people, such as certification, the ISO certificates, also training certificates, are actually original. They can be verified. So it's not a typical supply chain project because it's something that is connected to people, to organizations, but nonetheless, it is part of this bucket. So we see use cases expanding, and I would say that the potential for OriginTrail is way larger than just the CAGR of the growth of supply chain management solution would suggest. And we have experienced that over the past year, our kind of main impediment actually was not the number of partners, the number of clients that we can onboard. It was actually the scalability of blockchain solutions. And initially, OriginTrail mainly used Ethereum and relied on Ethereum for its growth. And this year, in March, we have introduced several chains. More specifically, we used XDAI, which is a proof of stake chain already, and also digging deeper with Polkadot. And this has unveiled additional scalability potential, which already have yielded very, very awesome results. So what we measure at OriginTrail essentially is the size of the knowledge that OriginTrail decentralized network supports. And the metric is called total graph size. And up until March 2021, so this March 2021, the overall metric of TGS amounted to 8 million TGS. And that was accumulated in the previous 3 years since the launch of the OriginTrail decentralized network. Now, by introducing additional chains to OriginTrail, we have achieved immense efficiency gains in the OriginTrail decentralized network, and the TGS expanded from 8 million to, I think, 42 million currently. So in merely a few months, we were able to expand the knowledge graph several times as compared to the previous 3 years when OriginTrail mainly ran on Ethereum. So what I was trying to say here was that there is a lot of demand in the real world, but we as a core technology provider and builder of OriginTrail and other blockchain solutions, we need to make sure that those solutions are scalable enough to support the growth and to support the real world cases the OriginTrail is pursuing.
That's amazing number. So you grew 5 to 6 times within no time.
Yeah.
And as you are what I can say, partnering or collaborating with more and more chains, there's huge scope for you guys to grow and businesses to adopt what OriginTrail has to offer. That's yes. Really interesting. Yeah. Now moving towards the players catering to this space. So as we spoke about, this is a huge space, and you guys are disrupting it in an amazing way. And there's a huge chunk of market share that needs to be addressed over here. So means, according to you, how OriginTrail is different from existing players catering to this space? So I do not have much names in my mind, but I think Morpheus is catering to the same thing that you guys are doing, right?
I think the main distinction between OriginTrail and other blockchain projects that are also advancing either transparency and trust in supply chain is that OriginTrail is not a blockchain. OriginTrail is a decentralized knowledge graph. And when I'm saying decentralized knowledge graph, this is essentially the main distinguishing factor from other projects in this space. None of the projects is using a knowledge graph as a form to store and exchange data. And knowledge graphs are a notion that people in crypto and people in blockchain are not yet used of, but at the same time, knowledge graphs are being used by some of the most successful companies in the world, such as Google, Facebook, Uber, Novartis. So all the biggest, the greatest companies are using knowledge graph. So what OriginTrail attempts to do is to decentralize knowledge graphs. So in a way to introduce a decentralized Google that will be able to support not only cases, supply chain use cases, but also use cases that I mentioned previously in DeFi, in metaverse, NFTs, you name it, sky's the limit. And as such, there's a huge distinction factor between OriginTrail and other projects in supply chain, and also other projects in blockchains, which are not relying on the same data structure that we use, which is a decentralized knowledge graph. And as such, OriginTrail is unique in the whole blockchain space.
Okay, so not based on blockchain, but based on knowledge graph. So
correct.
This is what is making you guys different from the competition. So that's really interesting to know, as we are covering lots and lots of projects. So people think decentralized means just the blockchain, but there are more and more technologies that can be adopted to address the issues in a decentralized way. That's amazing. Now let us throw explore the tokenomics. So just wanted to know how the tokenomics is designed for OriginTrail, for the ecosystem to grow in a very healthy way.
Yeah, Tomas, I think you could complement me here, but essentially Trace is the main driver for incentivizing the data longevity in our ecosystem. So decentralized knowledge graph would not have existed without the community of 900 node runners, which join the network, without any impediments, because the network is permissionless, and anyone listening to this podcast can also join the network and start running a node. The positive thing about running nodes is that you may earn rewards in Trace, which is a token ERC20 token, and essentially currently the tokenomics is based on compensating nodes which are maintaining data that is being relayed to them by the data creator nodes, and the data creator nodes are typically owned by the companies which are using the OriginTrail decentralized knowledge graph. So this is the kind of the two-sided aspect of the tokenomics, and so data holders and data creators, not only data creators, data owners, they would bid and they would offer their computational powers and their service space, and then in exchange they would earn Trace. They would also need to stake Trace in order to be eligible to run nodes and to receive data and to maintain data. And at the same time, data creators will need to do that. And this all, of course, is impacting the available supply of Trace in the market. And it is also important to point out that Trace is not inflationary. As such, when Trace is being staked, there is less and less of Trace in the circulation, which is very positive for the overall tokenomics. That said, we're not stopping here. OriginTrail is constantly looking for ways to also improve and add to the utility of the Trace token. So currently, token is being used mainly to incentivize data maintenance, we could say. In the future, and slowly, we're also introducing the aspect of incentivization. So how to incentivize people to share and exchange data, and then use OriginTrail's Trace token as a means for the people to be incentivized to use the network.
Oh, interesting. Tomaz, you want to share your thoughts?
I think Žiga did a great job, describing the overall. But if I did do a bullet form list of the utility, it's really whoever's publishing, they're buying it to publish. The data holder nodes are buying it to stake in order to ensure that they are doing a good job. And that on both sides creates also a kind of a lowering amount in the circulating supply, because more and more Trace is getting staked, is getting locked.
Okay, so so node operators needs to stake the Trace tokens, and that's how they probably can contribute towards the ecosystem. And also for the benefit of the viewers, we have 500 million Trace tokens outstanding, and it's a capped supply, and no more Trace tokens will be ever created. And as the ecosystem grows, as the adoption grows, probably there will be more and more demand towards Trace tokens. So the ecosystem is or the tokenomics rather is created in such a way that it is a win-win for everybody who is participating into this ecosystem. That is really interesting, and there's no inflation. That is an amazing point as well. Yeah. So moving towards next question, I would like to know that as we have seen this tremendous growth and adoption that is happening, and overall crypto space, like as far as I know, or with whatever knowledge I have, the first leg of adoption or the growth in crypto happened all because of Bitcoin and things, and later it happened due to Ethereum. Now it is happening due to DeFi. The next leg is expected through NFT, but nobody is talking about supply chain. It's a huge industry, and OriginTrail as a player is catering, or rather has potential to cater to all of these industries that are already growing at amazing growth rates. And with all this, what do you think, what is the future plan for OriginTrail for probably 3 or 4 quarters down the line from here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we consider one of the unfair advantages of OriginTrail is that the community and we as a core developer, we have a lot of experience in real world and at the same time in the crypto space. And our position is actually somewhere in between. We believe that DeFi, that metaverse projects can really kick off and essentially take over the real world, take the hearts and minds of the real world if we provide certain infrastructural elements where the real world, so the people that are not yet using crypto, the assets that are not yet being considered for DeFi projects can be somehow transitioned into the DeFi world. And this is where we believe the next leg up will happen for the entire crypto, as well as, we're going to bring benefits for the real world. And supply chains are a human activity that necessarily entails a lot of physical products, a lot of value creation that could be used as an input, as a collateral for DeFi. And if you imagine, there are a lot of assets in the DeFi right now which are popping up from zero, from nothing, from thin air, and yet they are somehow propelling the value and the growth creation in the DeFi. Imagine what will happen if we can somehow bring all the physical assets from the real world and use that as a collateral for the DeFi to grow. Now, this is where we believe OriginTrail can play a significant role because we have expertise from both worlds.
That's really interesting to know. Tomaz, you want to add on your comments over here?
Yep, and for next quarter's really exciting thing is to look just how much more growth the OriginTrail network can achieve with all the advancements that we've already seen early in this year and all of the things that are still upcoming towards the end of it. It's just I'm really excited about the potential of expansion that we are already seeing and that we will continue to see. And yeah, as an infrastructural component, just OriginTrail becoming that piece, that fabric upon which these bridges between the real world and the crypto world, cryptosphere are happening. It's very, very exciting, and we're looking forward, for this mainstream adoption to happen even more intensively.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, Vince, I am surprised to know so many new things about OriginTrail as a project, because with whatever limited information that is available publicly, we put out our research report. But after this interview, I am seriously amazed and surprised to know that it has so many use cases and it's just getting started with supply chain. Tomorrow you may cater to NFT, DeFi, lots and lots of use cases. Sky's the limit. So that's amazing thing to know. But I think I wanted to ask one question and it's just slipped from my mind. That is, do you have any number of partners in terms of business that are currently working with you guys?
Yeah, we have several strategic partners that are not only clients, some of them, but also opening doors for other bigger international organizations, governments, and bigger companies. So I touched upon previously the scan trusted factory solution being used by the dozens of the biggest retailers in the United States. And at the same time, the same application can be used by the Department of Homeland Security to inspect the critical documentation on the imports to the United States. So that's a huge group, huge consortium of companies that are using OriginTrail. So we're talking about dozens of biggest retailers, and at the same time, the government institutions in the United States, So that's North America. Going to Europe, we have more than a handful of international consortia in which the core technology provider for OriginTrail is involved and is also introducing OriginTrail technology into those projects. And those projects are one of the biggest consortias that are being supported by the European Commission. So this is again the governmental sector. At the same time, because right now after the Brexit, we're not accounting for UK as part of the European Union, but we do have a government support in the UK also for at least one project currently, which is called Trusted Bytes. And Trusted Bytes was designed to essentially help importers and exporters to UK to get conformed to the new rules post-Brexit. And OriginTrail is also playing a crucial role there for coherent data exchange. And again, this is a governmental sector. And then again, perhaps touching, venturing into India through several actually bigger pharmaceutical companies. OriginTrail is being used, or at least it is interacting with several organizations that are handling medicines that are then being distributed in India. So we're talking about hundreds, if not even thousands of users that are somehow interacting with OriginTrail. Okay. And these are mainly like bigger companies that have that present tremendous growth potential. And the cool thing from our experience working with clients and partners was that it never ended with a proof of concept. We were always able to retain a partner or a client in a way that they would always expand on the use of OriginTrail in their kind of adjacent areas, or just expansion for the existing use case.
Interesting. Yeah. So that's pretty much from my side. So if I have missed out to cover some information regarding OriginTrail, so just feel free to share any information that you would like to share that I've just missed out in asking the question and covering the project. If not, then just have a closing comment so that we can conclude this call.
Yeah, perhaps there are a lot of cool community generated resources. Perhaps one of the primary resource for node runners, so all those who decide to become part of our permissionless network, is the so-called OriginTrail Hub, or OT Hub. Where all the metrics, real-time metrics, can be followed on the performance of the network. So this project was kicked off by one of the community members called BBNM. At least this is one of his nicknames, and also some other community websites which are also being refreshed with the most recent information. OriginTrail is constantly evolving, and definitely I'm gonna stop by every now and then and drop something in your Dropbox or either Twitter or Telegram, whatever. We try to be as open as possible as an ecosystem. We hold almost monthly office hours whereby community would propose questions, and then founders and potentially some other community members would come in, and we would have live conversations for people to get up to speed as to what's going on in the OriginTrail ecosystem. And it's wonderful to be having this interview as well. And thank you very much again for inviting us.
You're welcome. That's our pleasure. Yeah, that's amazing. So, Tomaz, you want to have some closing comments?
I just wanted to say thanks for having us. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. We look forward to sharing more interesting stuff in the next interviews that we'll be having. And I do promise the next time I'll be joining you guys on video as well, so we can have this even more personal digital touch. But thank you again for inviting us.
Sure. You guys are doing amazing job, and as a community, we try every bit of it to stay them informed, keep them informed and keep them updated. Help them connect with projects like you and understand the projects in a better way. So I see a lot and lots of things coming for OriginTrail. Probably we can catch up 1 or 2 quarters down the line with the updates or the latest developments that are happening at your end, and we can keep the community informed.
Wonderful. We're happy to.
Yeah, so we'll also try to post all of your Twitter handles or social media links, so that the community, whoever is interested, can get in touch with you and can explore more towards OriginTrail as a project.
Thanks. That's highly appreciated.